So for this demo, I'm going to start from the viewpoint of the tutorial that we've kind of prepared around how we can actually use the sandbox. And we've got this up as a PR, so this link is accessible, and we can find it here, the Try Signals with Sandbox demo. So if we kind of scroll through this, there's a lot of boilerplate that you can read, but it should take you about 20, 30 minutes. Hopefully we're going to speed run it and be much faster than that. But let's skip past all of this. You can read it in your own time. We're going to go set up a sandbox environment. The first thing is to visit the Signals Sandbox website. And here it is, try signals.snowplow.io. I think there's still a jury out on whether or not we need to change that endpoint, but we can do that. Now, as long as you have a GitHub account, that's all you need to be able to sign in. So let me go ahead and sign in with my GitHub account. And I set this up earlier because I didn't want to wait 8 minutes for it, but I've just deployed a Signals Sandbox. If you're a first-time user coming to the Sandbox experience, it will start creating infrastructure for you immediately. And somewhere within 5 to 8 minutes, you should have your sandbox ready. And we can check that these endpoints are live quickly by checking the API docs. And we can see that we have our Surpass Signals API on version 0.11.2. So if we jump back here, we're going to need to fetch out some of these bits of information in just a second. So there's a couple of different ways that you can run through the tutorial. The first is using Google Colab. The other is just running a Jupyter notebook yourself. And as well, if you like to go through the kind of slower experience of copying and pasting all these different bits of code out yourself, you can. For the sake of this demo, I'm going to jump to a completed Python notebook that has been prepared ahead of time, which you can do just by clicking this link here, the Python notebook on Google Colab. So we jump to this. This has already got a full notebook defined with all the steps that you need to do. And one of the only things we'll have to do is set a couple of environment variables that we're going to populate now. So if we go in here, we've got our secrets. Now I need to go ahead and update these. So I'm just going to quickly copy out my collector URL to a new value. I'm going to copy out my profiles API URL to a new value. And I'm going to update my sandbox token. Okay. And we'll give our notebook access to that. Perfect. So what we'll now start to do is work through this notebook. And hopefully this should work. I've done everything right. Okay. Okay, everything's working. Beautiful. So we've validated we have our environment variables set up correctly. We're now going to install Snowplow Signals. Okay, that's done. We can now initialize the SDK. And now we get straight into defining attributes. Now these are have all been done as Python code using the Signals Python SDK. And what we can now start to see is we're going to define a few attributes, real-time attributes here. So we've got our count product views, which is going to be using product views on e-commerce as an e-commerce action, counting add to carts, and counting or aggregating the total cart value. So let's go ahead and define all those attributes. And now we're going to wrap it into a attribute group, a streaming attribute group to be exact. And this is going to then be wrapped up under ecom attributes for count product views, count add to cart, and total cart value. So we can do that as well. We're going to create a service, and this is going to let us actually activate and use those attributes. And now finally, we're going to publish them. And this should send them live into Signals, and we now have our attributes being computed in real time. And hopefully, now this will return none because I don't have a valid domain user ID, but we'll come back to that in a second. And we're also going to create a couple of interventions. The interventions here are the rules or things that we want to use those attributes from to actually generate something interesting on the demo site that we're going to look at in just a second. So we have cart abandonment, discounts, and free shipping. So again, we can define them and then we can publish them up. All right, so we now have our interventions and our attributes live. So let's jump back to here. And we can skip past all of this because we've done this very quickly. Define our interventions, and now we're going to test. So we can jump straight to testing with the demo application. And that is available just here at this link in the tutorial. And again, I'll need some details from here. So I'll need my new collector URL. I'll need my profiles API URL as well. I'm going to start shopping.